So the purpose of this video is going to be how do we draw and represent fractions in third grade. So one of the main things that we are going to be addressing is actually what does a fraction look like and what does it not look like. So here we have a rectangle, and I'm going to draw some lines on our rectangle to partition it or to break it up into pieces. A lot of times we have third graders that will do this and they'll go, oh, I have a fraction, I have a fraction. But if you look closely at this rectangle and where I drew the lines, you'll realize that this shape is a little bit smaller than this shape. Because you have the pieces not of the same size, we do not have a fraction. Not a fraction. Now, what we would call that is these pieces are non-congruent. Non-congruent. And when we're thinking about fractions, we want to think about the opposite of non-congruent, or the antonym to non-congruent. So when we're thinking about that, we want to make sure when we have a shape or an item or food that we are breaking apart that into equal pieces. And when you take a shape and you break it up into equal pieces, so I'm going to erase this. And when you break the pieces up into equal pieces, my shape is no longer going to have one piece that's bigger than the other. Instead, what we're going to have are pieces that are about the same size. Now, they don't have to be exact, but they definitely have to be about the same size. So again, I'm going to take my shape, and what I'm going to do is try to make my pieces as congruent as possible. So here we have 3 pieces. Here's 1 piece, here's 2 pieces, and here's 3 pieces. And now that we have taken our shape and made it into 3 pretty congruent pieces, okay, now we can say we have a congruent shape. We have a congruent shape. Okay, and when we have pieces, a whole, this is a whole rectangle, that we've broken into 3 equal or congruent pieces, we can say that we have a fraction. So, how do we write that? So, when we are writing a fraction, okay, the bottom number is going to be how many pieces equal your whole. So, I have my whole rectangle, and I have partitioned it or cut it up into 3 pieces. Since I have 3 pieces that make up my whole, 1, 2, 3, that is now my denominator. Okay, and the denominator stands for how many pieces that you partitioned your shape into. So now I'm going to count, say I want to give away this piece here, or I colored in this piece. Let's do that. I colored in this piece of my rectangle. What fraction of my rectangle did I color in? So I have, let me do another. I have colored in 2 pieces of my fraction. And the numerator here is going to be your top number, and that's looking at your pieces that you are counting, okay? And I don't like to say the pieces that you're eating because you're not always eating those pieces. It's the pieces that you're counting. So the pieces that we've colored in, maybe the pieces that you gave away, it may be the pieces that you colored in or you cut, but anyways, the pieces that you're looking at. So this number, again, is my denominator, and the top number here is my numerator. Top number, how many pieces I'm counting. Bottom number, how many pieces make up the whole. So I have 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, that make up my entire rectangle. So if we go back to how do we draw and represent a fraction, this is just the beginning part of how we could draw and represent a fraction here in third grade.